GameStop wants to submit your Pokemon cards and other cards for you for grading. This is terrible. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You're watching the channel Dr.Applesauce 2. My name's Will. It's another beautiful day here in Texas. I hope you guys know that I love you, God loves you, and that there is an awesome plan for your life. So some very interesting news actually was officially announced today. GameStop has launched their program where they will submit your cards to PSA for grading. Now, if you're very familiar with grading collectibles and grading cards and sports cards and things like that, you know that this concept is not brand new. The concept of a middleman, middle being somebody between you and the company grading your cards, in this situation GameStop, is not a new concept. People have been middlemaning for card grading for years and years and years, and there are many very well respected, reputable, and established companies out there doing this, and these people are professionals with TCGs and understand the ins and outs and are people that you can really trust with your TCGs for grading. Now, the interesting thing is now GameStop wants to do this. We know that GameStop had started entering the collectible card market, you know, in the past when they started buying your graded PSA cards from you. Lots of coverage on that. You could go in and you could sell your PSA cards, and then GameStop started selling PSA cards that they were buying. They're literally they're just flipping the PSA graded cards that they're buying from people. I made a bunch of videos on that. GameStop even had one of their lawyers reach out to YouTube and strike my account, and all this was absolutely crazy. We got this strike removed, so I'm grateful for GameStop for giving me an opportunity to do that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be less critical of this situation and point out why this is absolutely not a good idea, in my opinion. The market doesn't need this. There are plenty of other viable options out there. Guys, what we're seeing the death throes of GameStop, and they're trying to pivot and change their company so that they survive bankruptcy. That's what we're seeing here. Now, there are things that I think they could do to make this successful. Are they doing those things? Currently, they are not doing those things, but we'll get to that here in a second. I want to know your opinions, guys. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think it would be a good idea to submit your cards to be graded with GameStop? So let's just look at a few things, then we're going to break a bunch of stuff down, okay? So we saw today that GameStop announced that they're doing submissions. So they posted this on social media: GameStop PSA submission centers live at GameStop. To be clear, this does not mean GameStop is grading your cards. They are submitting your cards to PSA for you so you don't have to do it. I've never really been crazy about that because submitting cards to grade is not hard. There are thousands of videos on YouTube showing you how to submit your cards to PSA, to CGC, to Beckett, step by step, hold your hand instructions. I've made videos like that. They're all over YouTube. There is absolutely zero reason why you can't submit your own cards outside of a few things, like sometimes you have to send in, you know, a certain amount of cards and things of that nature. But that's the first bit of it, right? But now GameStop is opening this middleman service so that they can do that now, that you can take your cards to GameStop and give them to GameStop and they'll submit them to PSA for you. And that's what they're doing. Okay. So my initial thought is, I can't think of anything more terrifying when submitting valuable cards for grading than submitting them with a multi-billion-dollar company that has tens of thousands of employees that are all heavily overworked, many of whom don't like their job, and they live under constant threat of being fired if they don't reach specific performance metrics and numbers, and giving those people my valuable trading cards, and they're very likely not even experts in the TCG space. Sounds like a terrible idea. I'm not trying to be over exaggerating or overly critical. I'm being completely honest. If I'm going to use a middleman, which I'm not because I grade my own cards, but if I'm going to use a middleman, I'm going to use a company that everybody at that company is an expert in TCGs. Not a company that has some guy working for $15 to $20 an hour who has to be an expert in TCGs, figures, t-shirts, 25,000 different video games, and is constantly getting harassed by his superiors to sell insurance on every single game, to sell trade-ins on every single game, and being told that if you accidentally buy a fake Pokemon card, you will be fired. These are real things that GameStop employees have come to me and told me. I would never submit my valuable cards to a company like that. Not to mention, those people don't have the bandwidth to become Pokemon TCG experts and really understand what they're doing. But let's look at what GameStop's offering, okay? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to look at what they're offering. So we go to their website. You can see their website is already set up for you to learn about this, to find the stores, to send it to, things of that nature, okay? So you can see right here, GameStop PSA, get your cards graded with PSA. You can find a store, you can learn more. Now there are some pros, okay? So one of the pros, there's no submission form, so you're not filling out the submission form. The employees at GameStop are filling that submission form out for you. There's no card minimum. That is a benefit, because if you want to submit at a bulk tier, being the cheapest tier with any of the grading companies, there's typically a minimum amount you have to submit. For instance, PSA, if you want to submit a bulk order with PSA, you got to send in 20 cards. Benefit, credit where credit's due, a benefit for GameStop is you don't have to do that. You can submit one, because they're going to wait until they get a minimum of 20 cards in and then submit a bulk order. That's basically what they're doing, but that is a benefit there for the customer. And you also don't have to have a subscription. Most grading companies, you need to have some type of subscription in order to, you know, send in your cards. I think for PSA, it was like $50 a year. I think my subscription with CGC is like $25 a year. It's not a lot. So let's look at the prices. Trading card game grading, $15.99 for Pokemon, Magic, Disney, Lorcana, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Star Wars, Yu-Gi-Oh! $15.99 for Pokemon card grading. That's not bad. Declared value, $200 a card. You will be charged an additional fee if cards are worth more than $200. This is something that PSA does that I think is absolute highway robbery. You send in a card and you're like, oh, I think it'll only get a 9, so it's only going to be worth $150. They give it a 10. Oh, great. Look, now your card's worth $350. You get charged extra. They're literally incentivized to give higher grades because they charge people more. Obviously, that price is just going to come right back to you through GameStop. GameStop's not going to pay that. They're going to say, hey, your card is worth more than we thought it was going to be worth. Now you have to pay more. Yeah, shady, right? Shady. And then estimated turnaround, 45 days. Now, you can see right here, it says other card grading. So football, basically sports, they're charging $20 a card. And then, you also get free shipping if you're a GameStop Pro member. So that's the pricing for GameStop. Let's look at the pricing on actual PSA. Remember, so GameStop's charging you $16 a card for trading card games and $20 a card for sports. So let's look at PSA. PSA trading card bulk, because all GameStop is doing is submitting this stuff at bulk. All of their TCGs, sports, and everything fall under the same tier, okay? So it's $15 a card to submit at PSA for yourself. Doesn't matter if it's sports, doesn't matter if it's Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're submitting under a bulk submission at PSA, it's going to be $15 a card right here, okay? $15 a card. And then everything else, value, bulk value, all of that other stuff isn't relevant for this discussion because GameStop isn't offering any other tier but the the 45-day bulk turnaround tier. So $14.99, got to be in the Collectors Club, so you do have to have the Collectors Club membership. Declared value of $200 or less, same thing. Estimated turnaround time of 45 business days. And then the details, you got to have a minimum of 20 cards to submit and get that price point. And then you get your imaging and exclusive to the PSA Collectors Club members, blah, 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 things of that nature, right? So basically that is what GameStop is doing, is they're offering you the bulk tier option submission. They're just starting there. They're not offering any of the other faster tiers. If you had a really expensive card and you wanted to grade it and get it back fast, GameStop's not doing that for you, whereas other third-party, submission middlemen companies would potentially have those offers for you. So you can scroll down a little bit on the page and it kind of tells you what to expect. How's this going to work out? Let's look at it. How it works. Drop off your cards. Drop off your ungraded trading cards at a participating GameStop location. All cards must be submitted in penny sleeves and card savers, available for purchase at the store. Pretty standard. PSA authenticates and grades your cards. Follow your cards through the PSA process when they're authenticated, graded, and encapsulated, and then you'll kind of get, emails and stuff about that. And then step 3, collect or trade in. Once your cards are finished being graded, you will get an email letting you know they are ready to be picked up. You may pick up your newly graded cards, sell them, or trade them in. Pros get 15% extra cash or credit on all graded card trades. And that's where I think this is really all about. I think GameStop is hoping people will just trade those cards right into them. Hey, let us keep the cards. We'll give you an extra 15% and go buy some video games, because we're actually trying to get out of video games, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to become a more collectibles-focused company. They don't want to be a video games company anymore because it's not working. The industry has moved way, way, way predominantly online. GameStop knows that. That's why they're doing this. And I think that is the main thing. I think they're trying to do this to get these trade-ins and kind of maneuver through the inventory of the gaming stuff that's not working. So what are the pros and cons to this? Let's talk about some pros and cons, and let's be honest about things that could be done better if this were to work properly. Okay, some solutions to the problem. So some of the pros and cons. A few of the pros that we mentioned was that there's no minimum amount to grade. Like, you don't have to submit 20 to go to GameStop. You can just take one. That's definitely a benefit. It's going to be easily accessible for people because there's GameStops everywhere, and you're not having to be a part of a membership in order to do this. Those are basically the only pros. Some of the cons: GameStop's charging $1 over what PSA charges. PSA is charging $15 a card. GameStop's charging you $16. So they're making $1, but they're charging you $20 on sports. So they're charging more for sports, which is interesting. I don't know why. Maybe they're hoping to make more money on sports, not sure. But really, GameStop's not making much at all on these. This is something that they're really, with the time that their employees are putting into doing this, it's probably a break even for GameStop. So why are they doing that? And I think that's because they want to try and capture more trade-ins. Hey, you paid to get these sent off in grade, so you just spent, you submitted 5 cards, so now you've paid in $75. Well, you want to go ahead and turn them all in, and then they are getting the graded cards, and they're building their graded card position, which I think is what they're trying to do. They also don't have any other service besides the normal bulk service. That's a con, because if you want to be able to submit your cards faster, you can't do that with GameStop. And then additionally, this is something that I think a lot of people aren't going to understand, because a lot of people are going to go do this and not really understand how grading with PSA works, and understand that when you grade with PSA, if your cards end up being more expensive than the declared value, you're going to get upcharged. And so they have that notice on there with GameStop. This is going to happen a lot, because GameStop's just going to take in any card, very likely any card, and grade it. And they're probably going to, who knows where they're going to get their declared value prices from? Who knows how they're going to do that? But a lot of people are going to get surprised with these extra charges. And if you can't pay these extra fees, what's going to happen? GameStop gets to keep your cards. And then I think the biggest issue is the vast majority of the people that work at GameStop are underpaid, overworked, and highly stressed. There are situations where people who are GameStop employees have reached out to me and told me, we have been told that if we accidentally buy one fake card, we're fired. Where stores have been shut down because they weren't selling enough insurance on new video games, and they weren't selling enough pre-orders, so that store got shut down. This is a very stressful, highly competitive, money-driven, not community-focused environment at GameStop. And these people highly likely, these people don't know a lot about TCGs. Why would you take your valuable cards and submit them to somewhere like this? I wouldn't. Now, there are a few things that GameStop could do to be proactive and to be better at this. Let's not just complain and not give solutions, right? Let's give solutions. How could GameStop do better with this? First and foremost, I think the way that they could do better is they could hire professionals. If you're going to do this, you need a TCG professional at every single store and have them training everybody. Does that mean somebody that works at every store, or set up a huge rotation of people that are going around training everybody to be proficient on TCGs? I don't know that that's really practical, though, because you almost would have to have somebody at every store that's their job, is to understand TCGs. But GameStop's not going to do this. They're likely going to implement a training with every store manager, and that manager is going to have to train their employees, and that's going to be everybody is TCG trained. And if you're wanting to do this and you don't want to use GameStop, go to a middleman. At Collecticon, we have very great companies that work with PSA and Beckett and CGC that are always there taking submissions. They're authorized dealers for these companies that know what they're doing, and they've been doing this for years. It's another option for you. You could do that, or you could submit the cards yourself. It's not hard. Like I said, there's many videos on YouTube teaching you how to do this. So if GameStop wants to do this successfully, they need to have professionals in the field, and they need to be transparent with their information with people. I don't see how this is a better option for people than what's currently available, other than the fact that more people know about GameStop than some of these other authorized dealers that do this and do it very well. That's really the only benefit. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen here, and I can guarantee you there's going to be short form videos out the wazoo of people having massive issues doing this. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would you send your cards off to grading through GameStop? I want to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. It's free to do that, and it helps the channel so much. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, all those good things. Check that video out next. YouTube says you'll like it. And like I always say, find somebody to love and serve today. Be the change you want to see in the world. See you next time.